So, what happens when absolute, unwavering faith runs headfirst into simple human kindness? Today, we're diving into a classic story where a single letter addressed to God kicks off a chain of events with one of the most brilliant and ironic twists you'll ever read. It's a story about belief, about generosity, and about a huge misunderstanding that all starts with a farmer and one really, really bad storm.
Just imagine this for a second. You lose everything you've worked for in a single afternoon. Your entire livelihood, just gone, wiped out. What do you even do? Well, our main character, facing total ruin, turns to his last resort. He decides he's going to write a letter. But this isn't a letter to a bank or a family member. Nope, this one's going straight to God. All right, so let's meet the man at the center of all this. This is section 1, where we get to know our protagonist, a guy named Lencho, and the disaster that gets the whole story rolling. Okay, so Lencho is a simple, hardworking farmer. His entire year, his family's survival, it all comes down to one thing: getting a good harvest. But instead of the rain he's hoping for, a crazy, violent hailstorm just descends on his fields, completely destroying every single thing he's grown. The result is just total devastation. It leaves him and his family staring at a future with nothing. But here's the thing. In the face of this absolute disaster, where most of us would probably just give up, Lencho held on to something the storm couldn't touch. His belief in God wasn't just some vague hope. For him, it was a rock-solid, practical fact. And from that incredible certainty, he gets a pretty remarkable idea. So what does a man with that kind of unshakable faith do when disaster strikes? Well, he goes straight to the top. And that brings us to the central, kind of wild act of the story. See, Lencho wasn't just praying for guidance or strength. Nope. He was a practical man with a very practical problem. He needed money. Cold, hard cash to buy new seeds and feed his family until he could get another harvest. He needed a miracle, and he knew exactly how much that miracle would cost. 100 pesos. That was the magic number. The exact amount he figured that he'd need to get his farm up and running again and make sure his family didn't starve. And with that number locked in his head, he does something truly incredible. Because Lencho actually knew how to read and write, he just calmly sits down and writes a letter. He addresses it simply to God. In it, he explains the whole hailstorm situation, details his need for exactly 100 pesos, and then he just walks to town, puts a stamp on it, and drops it right in the mailbox, fully 100% expecting to get a reply. Okay, so now the story's perspective shifts. The letter is out of Lencho's hands, and it lands in a place he never even considered: the local post office. And it's about to cause quite a scene. When the postman finds this letter, his first reaction is just to laugh out loud. I mean, it's absurd, right? He takes it to his boss, the postmaster, who also starts cracking up. But then, the laughter fades. The postmaster is suddenly just struck by the pure sincerity of the letter. He's genuinely moved by this person's profound, unquestioning faith, and he decides right then and there that he cannot let that faith be broken. So the postmaster comes up with this amazing plan to answer the letter himself. This thing turns into a real collective act of goodwill. He asks his employees to chip in whatever they can as an act of charity, and he even gives up a big chunk of his own salary. It was a genuine, from-the-heart effort to help a total stranger. Now, despite their best efforts, the collection does fall a little short of the goal, but the postmaster puts what they have into an envelope and gets ready for the moment Lencho comes back. This is where the story really takes a turn toward its powerful, ironic conclusion. The very next Sunday, just as you'd expect, Lencho comes to the post office to check for his mail. The postmaster, feeling pretty proud of this good deed, personally hands him the envelope. Inside is the money, signed with a single, powerful word: God. And this part is just brilliant. It shows you everything about Lencho's faith. He doesn't gasp, he isn't shocked, or even really that grateful. I mean, why would he be? In his mind, he wrote a letter, and he got a reply. This was the most natural thing in the world. He was totally and completely confident that God would come through for him. So he confidently opens the envelope and counts the money. But as he's counting, his face just changes. It's not the 100 pesos he asked for. It's only 70. So you'd think he'd be thrilled, right? I mean, 70 pesos is a whole lot better than nothing. It's practically a miracle delivered by the kindness of strangers. This should be a moment of just pure joy and relief. But it wasn't. Not at all. Lencho wasn't grieful. He was angry. Instantly, furiously angry. And his reason for that anger? Well, that's the absolute core of this story's beautiful irony.
Lencho's unwavering faith leads him to a conclusion that is both perfectly logical from his point of view and completely, utterly wrong. And this brings us to his final, damning action.
You see, in Lencho's mind, there are two simple facts. Fact 1, he asked God for 100 pesos. Fact 2, God is perfect and would never ever make a mistake or deny his request. So God definitely sent the full 100 pesos. If only 70 arrived, well, the problem must have happened somewhere along the way.
And he knew exactly who to blame. The post office employees. He immediately marches right back up to the window, asks for more paper and ink, and starts writing a second letter to God. In this second letter, which the poor postmaster reads after Lencho leaves, he lays it all out. He complains that he only got 70 pesos. He says he desperately needs the other 30. And he flat out accuses the postal workers of stealing the missing money right out of the envelope. And then comes the final, soul-crushing blow of irony. He begs God to send him the rest of the money, but he adds one crucial instruction. Whatever you do, don't send it through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. The very people who sacrificed to help him have become the villains of his story. And that leaves us with this really profound question, doesn't it? Lencho's faith in God was absolute, but it made him totally blind to the goodness of the people standing right in front of him. The postmaster, inspired by that faith, acted with incredible kindness and generosity. So who showed the greater faith? The man who believed in a distant God, or the man who believed in the kindness of his fellow human beings?